This is absolutely nuts, my friends. LA's Section 8 program just shut down new applications, and the impact is going to be absolutely catastrophic. Why? Well, federal funding cuts. Let's break it down. $47 million to $114 million is being slashed from the budget. That means 3,300 families right this second are stuck in limbo. Their applications are on pause. And we already have 45,000 plus already homeless, and that number is about to skyrocket. Now, according to Carlos Van Natter, head of Section 8 in LA, he says keeping current recipients in their homes is the top priority. Totally get it. But he even says at this rate, that's at risk. And it gets worse before it gets better. If Congress doesn't approve funding by March 14th, the Housing Authority may have to cut existing vouchers as well. Translation, my friends, thousands of families could lose their homes overnight. This isn't just a housing issue. It's a breaking point for LA. Rent is among the highest in the country. We already have a crazy homeless problem, and the city just eliminated one of the last safety nets for low-income families, seniors, and disabled residents. So what now? Well, if you live in LA, I hope you're paying attention. You need to call your representatives, demand action, because if this crisis isn't addressed right now, we're going to be looking at a tidal wave of homelessness like we've never seen before.
Hey guys, so the Housing Urban Development Hub is being cut off. They'll just seeking to cut funding from there. You know what that is? That applies to affordable housing for people with disability, low income. I'm in New York, so we have all these new buildings that they usually for low income people, so they could get a tax break. Section 8, city feds, all that getting cut. No, they're cutting our housing. They're cutting SNAP. They're cutting unemployment. They're cutting school. They want to uprise. They want martial law. You cut so many people from federal workers. They're cutting off this access to our money. You're allowing companies to charge any banking increase that they want. There's no oversighter. There's no inspector general to put these people on a leash. They want us to work for free. Did you notice Elon Musk made a comment about working 120 hours a week? Remember all those people that was happy about no tax on overtime? I ain't doing 120 hours a week. Fuck no. This is not the Hunger Game, honey. Okay, I have another news to report, but this is it for the day. Be safe, be sound, be kind.
The recent wave of federal layoffs have sparked some concerns over housing and homelessness for the region.
Alex Little-Hales joins us in the studio tonight with a new perspective on just how far reaching the federal workforce changes are.
Well, let's remember, just this month, the Trump administration stalled roughly $60 million in funding meant for affordable housing projects across the country. It's part of potentially major changes at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, but with new uncertainty comes concern about what that means for local communities. Every year, millions of dollars in federal funding flows into Hampton Roads through grants from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, more commonly known as HUD. But amid mass layoffs at the federal level come questions about the future of that funding for those on the receiving end. Based on federal data, HUD accounts for more than $20 million of grant funding just for local governments in the 7 cities. Virginia Beach received the most at more than $6 million in 2024.
We got the word from staff in the Richmond office that they'd taken a 50% layoff.
Thaler McCormick is CEO of the education nonprofit 4Kids, which provides housing and educational stability for students in Hampton Roads. She tells 13 News Now they've already been briefed by staff at HUD's Richmond field office about potential layoffs, which McCormick says creates uncertainty for their funding structure.
4Kids will be profoundly impacted. We're almost $6 million of our budget is governmental, so that will have a big impact on us. And we're direct impacts is in emergency shelter, rapid rehousing, other housing programs that are pretty essential.
According to the Planning Council, HUD layoffs, quote, would greatly decrease the efficiency of carrying out many programs that HUD funds, plus concerns that HUD programs for the next fiscal year may either be reduced or not honored at all. So the organization 4Kids also cited that HUD assists with affordable housing in more than 170,000 units in the state of Virginia. I'm Alex Littlehales for 13 News Now.
Well, let's pick out some cans.
No salt.
Chris Richey and Carmen Carey are retirees struggling with the rising cost of groceries.
And the price of food has really gone high, you know. The
eggs.
But you won't find any prices here. The Manna Food Center Market in Silver Spring, Maryland, gives away everything on the shelves for free. Its director says the charity serves about 5,000 families a month.
We expect to see increasing demand. And right now we're tight as it is.
Inflation and unemployment have both risen since Donald Trump took office, despite his campaign promises of economic prosperity. Richey says he voted for Trump. He doesn't like the higher prices, but thinks they're temporary.
You want America to get stronger, you know?
And this is the price that you think you have to pay for that?
Yeah.
Others are more worried.
it makes it hard on people, especially people on disability or food stamps.
Eggs have seen the most price volatility, not only from inflation, but from a scarcity crisis due to the avian flu. Eggs in American grocery stores are averaging close to $5 a dozen, and they're spiking to almost $20 a dozen, which is a record high. And according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, their prices are expected to go up another 40% by year's end. Then there's Trump's on-again, off-again tariffs against China, Mexico, Canada, and come April, possibly the rest of the world.
On the tariffs we have right now, you're talking anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per person in increased prices over the next year. The reality, though, is that we just don't know how long these tariffs will be in place.
All of that amounts to a lot of uncertainty. Experts say the U.S. economy is still relatively strong, but no one knows how long that will last. Heidi Jo Castro, Al Jazeera, Silver Spring, Maryland.
After eggs, beef faces an uncertain future in the U.S. Prices have been rising steadily in recent years with no signs of slowing down. Since January 2020, the average price of a pound of beef mince has surged by 45%, from $3.90 to $5.60, nearly doubling the rate of inflation. This price increase is driven by a combination of high consumer demand and a shrinking cattle herd, which is now smaller than it was a decade ago. Despite the challenges of tight domestic supply, beef imports have helped stabilize the prices. In 2023, the U.S. saw record high imports, including 4.6 billion pounds of beef and 2 million live cattle. However, the situation may soon worsen. And that's because U.S. President Donald Trump has proposed hefty new tariffs on agricultural imports, including beef. The tariffs set to take effect in April 2025 could disrupt the delicate balance of the U.S. beef market. While domestic ranchers might benefit from higher prices, the proposed tariffs could lead to instability in the supply chain. Many cattle are raised in Mexico, fattened in the U.S., and processed in Canada before being re-imported. A procedure that could be interrupted by these tariffs, these high tariffs, which is now being imposed under Donald Trump. While the potential for higher prices might seem like an opportunity for U.S. ranchers, experts warn it could harm the industry. With a smaller cattle herd, sudden price hikes could discourage ranchers from rebuilding their stocks. Meanwhile, consumer habits may shift as well, as higher beef prices will lead to people perhaps looking at other options than beef. Even if the tariffs are delayed or altered, the ongoing challenges in the beef supply chain are clear and prices are likely to remain.